Hey,
Hey, hey,
hello.
hey. Welcome, Maria. How are you today?
Do you know, I'm warm. I actually had to put my aircon on in my office. This is April, and I'm not an April Fool's. I had to put my aircon on before we did the show because it's so warm today. What's going on?
See, this is the difference because you're in the south of the UK. I'm in the north of the UK. So you're about like 20 something degrees, 23 degrees just now, Celsius. And I think we're about 4 degrees Celsius up here. So that's the difference that we're getting just now.
Yeah, but it's changing for us just in time for Easter. Just
Yes,
now that things are opening up and we can catch up with people outside, it's going to be cold. Typical, typical,
exactly.
typical. Anyway, what are we doing this week? This
Well,
week before Easter.
Well, fantastic. Our guest this week is a pioneer in humor-based training and has spoken at over 2,500 main stage events from Texas to Tasmania. He is also the author of 4 books and markets his own line of stress buster products worldwide. He is a speaker who teaches people to be more resilient and resourceful and coaches businesses on how to enhance productivity and employee enthusiasm through the use of humor. Please welcome to This Week in Events, Mr. Tim Gard.
Hello, Tim. Hello, hello, hello. And
Oh,
how are you? How
good.
are you all the way from Phoenix?
Oh, it's
Portland. What am I talking about?
Portland, Oregon. It's been really good. It's been tough, with COVID. I find myself now every day I wake up, I'm finding more and more of these, and it just gets really depressing after a while. They're, as you might know, gray hairs.
I love it.
Better
Grey
than
hair's
other.
fantastic. I've
Yeah.
got loads of grey hairs. Absolutely loads. So
Well,
Tim, you've actually sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say to you, I wanted to, because we've introduced you as a humorist, and I think you might have demonstrated a bit of that already, actually. But what's the difference between a humorist and a comedian?
So most comedians they put people down. It's something where they're not afraid to insult people, to be caustic, and it's all done to get a laugh. Whatever they can do to get a laugh. Humorists are more about, we never want to diminish anyone with humor. We want to enhance but never diminish, and that we may find humor in pain, but we don't cause pain with the humor. So humorist is a real positive term, I think, to use, because like for me, my material is totally clean, non-caustic, very positive. And I think the distinction is really important today, because in business, if you go to a comedy show, you don't know what they're going to say, the language, the jokes, you never know what they're going to say, but it's going to be outrageous, probably filthy. It'll be, there'll be a lot of things you may not want to hear. At work, it's different. At home, you can walk away. At a comedy club, you can not go. But at work, if you walk away, it's called quitting. So what we want to be able to do is to use humor in a positive way that doesn't create a hostile work environment. And humorists, I think, concentrate on that more than a comedian.
I like that. I like the fact that it's positive, and I also like the fact that there's no swearing. I have a potty mouth in private, but in business, we say potty mouth here in the UK, but in business, I think it's important to be respectful, because you can really upset people with bad language.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole thing is that we want to create, we want our customers to like us. People do business with those they like. Humor helps make us more likable, more relatable, more connect. It's the fastest way to connect with people. Someone you want to lead, someone you want to, a vendor, a coworker, a supervisor, used properly, it can be highly effective, and it's a skill just like any other.
So, Tim, you speak to, obviously, you're based in Portland, you speak all over the US, but you speak all internationally as well. And obviously, because we're all virtual now, we're speaking to very international audiences. So you've got people from different backgrounds, different cultures. How can you be funny when your audience is very international? Because as Brits, we use puns a lot, and that just doesn't really fly so much when we're speaking outside of the UK. So any advice on how to be funny when you're speaking to international audiences?
Yes, the first thing is you got to do your homework. you've got to be able to research. For instance, one of the first international events I did was in Singapore. I found out, the British background, they like Monty Python. I found out what they find funny or not funny. And the big stumbling block there was they didn't like to laugh at themselves, the self-effacing humor. And I showed them that you may not want to do that, but Americans, UK, Australians are able to laugh at themselves. And if you want to work in a business world with them, you need to understand the concept. So the first one is do your homework. Find out the terminology. Find out what mistakes people have made. It's easy to Google now and find out where somebody's made horrible mistakes. I was talking the other day one of the first times I had an entirely British audience. The lady that was on ahead of me had a story about, and please forgive my terminology here, but she had a story, her whole thing was about a fanny pack, not knowing that it had a very different meaning there than it does here, and nobody laughed, and she kept working. She got harder and harder, and she just kept really hitting it. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And this audience went from this nervous, like, to finally they realized, and it was a train wreck, and they were in hysterics. And she's talking about having to jam her husband's wallet in her fanny pack and they lost it. Now she didn't do her homework, and as a result, I don't know how happy the client was. So do your homework. The second thing is puns and slang just doesn't work in humor internationally. In Australia, a guy I followed talks about rooting for your audience, not knowing that meant to have sex in Australia. And so he did, the slang, the puns, the play on words doesn't work. We have to treat all of our audiences now as if they're international because we don't know. If you're doing a virtual event, it's going to be seen internationally, whether you anticipate, whether you believe it or not. And the bottom line with all of it is do your homework, stay away from slang, realize that the bottom line with things is that you need to test your material in advance. Graham Davis, one of our friends, I did a story at UK NSA and at the PSA, I guess, and told a story about asking the flight attendant for tang as a joke, not knowing that in the UK, tang is unknown. It's a breakfast drink. It's like orange juice but it's like I said, and I asked the flight attendant, everybody asked for Coke or a drink, and I said, do you have tang? And waited for the laughter, and the only one laughing was Graham. So it's using common terms. A cubicle in the US is a cubicle in the UK is a cubicle in Australia. So the cube crab, this is one of the props that I use. This is a cubicle crab. You have crabby people that you work with, and you go across the top of the cubicle with this, and it's like, are we being a little crabby today? So that works no matter where you are, and they'll find it. I've used this all over the world. People find it funny and relatable. So a lot of it is just, a lot of my humorist friends don't like to go internationally because there's times when people just don't laugh. And I've explained to them that when people don't laugh, then it's just content.
Yeah. So, but how do you, when you're speaking in front of a live in-person audience, you're getting that immediate feedback. You get a sense of the timing, if you need to pause a little bit more. When you're in Zoom land or virtual, how are you doing that? How can you tell if a joke has landed or a line or a kind of funny thing has landed or not?
So you've got to trust your material. If it worked before, we always want to be doing new material, but if the material worked before, then it will also work, I believe, virtually. You have to be able to give the audience time to laugh and appreciate it, because if you don't, you're actually teaching them not to laugh if you don't give them time. And it's a little more awkward in Zoom world where you say something and where normally there's hysterical laughter, there's just dead air. Knowing that people are laughing, you may not be able to see them, and judging just how long to do that, I think that's based on experience. The second thing would be to try new material with your friends, your family, mastermind groups at work, whatever it is. Try and see if 8 out of 10 people laugh, chances are it's going to work virtually. So you've got to trust your material, train your audience. You've got to be able to not get hung up on the fact that you can't hear them. And You know, I've studied radio. I've studied radio humor, you know, before TV existed and vaudeville. Looked at what they did, highly effective use of props, of visual things, and that's what I've concentrated on.
Fantastic. But here's a challenge for you, Tim.
Okay.
Can you find humor in anything? I mean, you know, we're in a pandemic. Can you really joke about something as serious as that?
So, you know, Carol Burnett, I'm not sure who got tributed with the saying, but comedy can be tragedy plus time. You know, years ago, I was at a conference and somebody had asked the Chicken Soup for the Soul people why they don't do a chicken soup for the 9/11 soul. And they said, is it too soon? And he said, it will always be too soon. I think it's really important that the timing is critical. I mean, at the very beginning, of course not. Depending on the audience and the context about how you want to do it, I think there's been quite a bit of humor that's come out about it. I had recently, I forgot my mask but I had all my props with me, and I had one of my new props with me, and had walked into a store, and the guy says, "You forgot your mask," and so I came back in wearing this. And the guy didn't say a word. He just let me shop and leave. That to me is the funniest part about this. So I think it's a matter of the timing, especially. These are called "don't bug me" glasses. You know, all these people are working at home. Your families won't leave you alone. You know, they're always bothering you. These are "don't bug me" glasses. If you put these on, your family will leave you alone, if only for a few minutes. And they're great for eye strain too. So there are things like this that we can do. But think about this. You do it first for yourself, to refresh and renew yourself. If you find it funny, then share it with other people. See how they can find it funny. But be very aware of the fact that it can be still a very serious subject. And it's touched all of our lives. It's just a matter of, to me, of timing. And I don't use a lot of COVID-19 humor yet. I imagine that I will. So
I think the mask one's a safe one. I think that's actually that is fun, and I can see that working. So I see that really being it. And I love the fact that you have props. Is that appropriate for anybody to use props, or does it have to be part of your personality?
I think it is. If you're quoting a newspaper and you just quote the newspaper, that's one thing. But if you pick up a newspaper while you're doing it, neurolinguistically, it helps tie that in as showing the factuality. If you walk into, say, a hospital and you look for somebody in charge, you look for somebody with a clipboard. If they have a clipboard, chances are they're in charge. Our brains do this naturally. So if we can, so many of us learn more visually, or, some people auditory, and I know there's all this research about it, but the bottom line is that in my audiences, some are going to be more visual and some are going to be more auditory. So I try to use both, and I try to mix it up as much as I can, but I do believe literally anybody can do it. And I will tell you this, years ago, a speaker's coach, when I first started, told me, "Tim, if you ever want to be successful, dump the props and dump the humor." He said, if you want to be a successful keynoter. And when I get nervous, my mouth gets going. And he's a very famous speaker with a huge background in theater. And I said, so in the play Hamlet, when he's got the skull in his hand and he says, "Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well, Horatio. Do you think it works better with the skull or without the skull?" And he said, "You don't need the skull." I said, "No. Which one works better?" So the props, if it adds to, use it. If it distracts from, don't.
And I think also on that, it's especially when you're speaking to audiences that if you and I are both speaking in English, and English isn't the first language, sometimes the audience, the props can actually kind of really. They can create a real strong foundation for what you're saying as well. I remember seeing a completely different, not a speaker, but an opera singer, a great opera singer called Bryn Terfel. He's a great bass singer. And he was singing I think it was like a comedy, like a Mozart comedy and I didn't understand the language. I don't know if they were singing in German or what they were singing, but I had no idea. But before he started singing, he said, basically, this is a song, this is an aria, and it's about this guy, and he's trying to date lots of women. And, he's basically kind of thinking about all the women that he's been dating over the years. And so Bryn, the opera singer, he brings out a little black book. And as he's singing this opera, the language, I have no idea what the language was, he's kind of like singing like through the little black book about his lady friends that he's going through. And it was fantastic. And I think of all the opera singers I've seen, he's an incredible singer, but it just created an impact with the audience as well. So I love the fact that you're kind of doing that. I think it really strengthens the message if done well. It doesn't demean your message.
In the brain, we have these mirror neurons that, if you smell a certain smell, it may take you back to your mother's kitchen years ago, or a certain song takes you to a dance that you went to with a favorite date. The same way these props is that if you've got them on your desk or around you, and during my program, they're very funny. I give them out. Can't do it virtually, can't quite get them to the camera, but in my live audiences, I hand these things out with the thought that when that's sitting on their desk, they're going to look at that mirror neuron is going to connect to laughter, and it will make them smile. Yeah. And this is something that we need, people, this is the resilience. It helps build resilience to replace negativity with the positive things, and the more positive reinforcement, it helps people deal with it. This is a seat saver. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it. It's spilled ice cream on a looks like it's got a spoon with spilled ice cream. When I worked for the federal government, my boss always wanted me to save her a seat, and at the meetings, and people would want to sit there, and I'd say it's saved. And so I came up with this, and I would put it on the chair, and people would see it, laugh, and not sit there. Problem solved. The prop then becomes a marketing tool with my name on it, and I'll send it to customers now and say, save me a seat at your next Zoom meeting or at your next conference. Sits on their desk, and they will think of me, hopefully, when it's time to bring in speakers.
Fantastic. And I'm sure we've got a lot of people joining us just now. There might be some questions here as it comes from about using humor in speeches. So please leave your questions. I'm also interested, people that are joining us just now, any stories maybe of audiences that have been particularly challenging kind of using humor, maybe different types of job titles or types of associations. So Tim, I'm guessing, how do you tailor your humor for different groups? Do you do different things for accountants versus teachers, or how does it work?
There's a core program that then I add in specific things that they will identify as stressors to help them find their pain. I spoke for a group of animal control officers, dog catchers, and I got them these. And I don't know how well you can.
That is amazing. I want one of those.
I will send you one. I'll send you one. They went ballistic for them. So it's the first rule is you can't, as a speaker, is don't say something stupid. Should really be the first rule. So you don't want to say to them, I can solve all your problems, or I know what, it's take and give them ways that they can find their pain and solve it. And if I can do it with humor and tailor it with humor, it's more effective. Group I spoke with, national eligibility workers, they have policy changes all the time. This is mental floss. You can take the old policy and you just floss it out like this. And when new policy comes on, instead of getting angry, they anticipate everybody doing this, makes them smile, changes the dynamics. And I believe it really does change the mindset. And it's long lasting. It's not just for the time of the program. So every event is tailored to them. I would say maybe 10, 20%. Sometimes I've had groups where they wanted more, where we've really designed. I did a thing for a company that wanted me to cook HelloFresh meals with my wife as a part of the program. So Sophia and I cooked the meals, and then I would say, wonder what Tim's doing on stage. And I go over and do something about stress, and we go back and cook. And I just loved it. I had the best time with it. So we we introduced the concept then of a husband and wife when they're cooking together, that they tell each other jokes and try to get the first one to make the other one laugh. Has to do a chore. We have 6 cats at home, so the chore for me was to clean litter boxes for a week, which is a monumental task. But you know, we had fun with it in the tailoring, and I think that those challenges make us better speakers. Don't you think, James?
Totally. What does everyone else think? Maria, what comments, questions are we getting just now from the audience?
No, let me let you into something here, Tim. He always says to me, what are the comments? Because he doesn't want to put any glasses on, you see. He can't see. I wear my glasses so I can see. So we've had quite a few nice comments. An anonymous Facebook user has said, Tim Gard is amazing, which is lovely. Tom Morley is telling us, enhance but never diminish. A class act, a welcome use of the word class, like that. Tom again, losing face, such an important cultural difference to understand. Greg's just said he's come back again. He had to go off. He's back. That's fine. Welcome back, Greg. Bob Hooey, even more fun when you have an interpreter, like I found out in Iran. Oh my goodness, interpreters. How do you handle interpreters?
I spoke in Germany, and I learned the first 5 minutes of my program, Auf Deutsch, in German. And the poor interpreter, I come out, Guten Tag, wie geht es Ihnen? And I'm speaking in German. He's used to interpreting, and he just seized up. It was like he's speaking German, you know. And then I had another one where he was laughing so hard, and all he could say was, "This man is very funny." You know, he couldn't translate. Just, "This man is very funny. This man is very funny." And so Bob's right. He and I have talked about this, where you go out in advance, and I'll work with interpreters in advance so that they're able to understand the program, and we don't just surprise them. The sign language interpreters, I'll work with them because I try to speak slowly, but as you're speaking, I tell a story about when I mowed lawns. The title was Chlorophyll Growth Control and Domicile Maintenance, Part-Time Subterranean Excavation Engineering. I mowed lawns and I dug ditches, and this poor lady was trying to sign this, and I thought probably should have cleared that with her in advance. But so yeah, I think the interpreters, they'll also tell you, you know, just be aware. Sometimes they'll tell you something's not funny when it really is. It's just, you just can't go on that one person. I think we have to be aware of the fact too. I forgot this story. I forgot in Australia, you know, you both know, I say bummer. When something goes wrong, you put your hand here, you say bummer and do this. Let the little things go. And if something good happens, you go, woohoo, and celebrate the moment. Well, this gentleman, friend of mine in Australia, said, Tim, we don't say bummer, we say oh bugger. And I said, okay. So I came out in front of 500 people and said, when you have a problem, oh bugger. And did not know that it's not just a slang word in Australia. It has a very negative connotation. And so I'm very cautious about letting anybody let me insert slang into my programs, whether it be the interpreter or whatever. We just have to really be aware of the fact they may not do it maliciously, but we're the ones that live with that on Vimeo and Facebook for the rest of our lives.
Absolutely. And a couple more comments here. So Bob, again, brilliant advice on props. Kirsty Gwynn, this is giving me such great ideas of what props I can use to illustrate the stories I tell, which is lovely. Irvin Nugent is saying, I agree, a prop can be so powerful when strategically used. And Tom Morley, neuroscience, what are the deeper results of this bit of fun? So what they're fixed on the brain of humor, I suppose he's asking.
Well, I think now especially, you know, everybody's getting their jabs, but I think they also need a good dose of humor to help people refresh and renew themselves and to be able to call on it when we're really in tough times. And for the other comment, you know, about how we use it, we can also sell them. I do market and sell my props. I also use it to market myself. You know, when I first started, I had a picture of my pride and joy. It's a bottle of pride and a bottle of joy. People liked it. I put it on my business card, and I can't believe I don't have one right here, but put it on my business card. People wanted more, so I came up with this. This is a picture of my kids. 2 baby billy goats are kids. And so people wanted these. They wanted those, and then I came up with this, and this is a major credit card. You know, when you check into a hotel, they say, what's your name? Do you have a reservation? Do you have a major credit card? Well, on the front, it says this is a major credit card. Oh, here, sorry. This is a major credit card. My production engineer, John, is reminding me that I'm not at home doing this. This is the great thing about having a production engineer. So this is a major credit card. 1-800-865-9939. That's my international calling number. Works for a lot of different countries. And then they'll say, do you have some other form of ID? And if you turn it over on the back, it says, here is some other form of identification. Now, do they laugh every time they see this when I check in a hotel? No. I don't care. I can't wait to check in. You know, one of the first times I went to use it, I go to check in, this young man, I go in, hi, Tim Gard, checking in. What's your name? Still Tim Gard. Do you have a reservation? Yes, I do. I'm going to need to see a major credit card. And it's like, I got one. I was hoping you'd ask because I got one. And looks at it, doesn't know what to do, and is used to asking for help whenever something like this happens. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, all alone, and it's like this poor kid is like, showing it to people that aren't there, you know, and he goes, sir, he said, I don't know what to do. And I said, if it were me, I mean, this is just me, but if it were me, I would ask for some other form of identification. And he said, do you have some other form of identity? Woohoo, you know, and show it to him. Now, this is my business card. That's my phone number. My website's on the back. I sell these 6 for $5. My customers buy my business card for about $1 in the hopes they can show it to other people and get a laugh. I think that's good marketing.
Genius. That is absolutely genius. I wrote down about the kids because my sister's got goats, so I can say these are my sister's kids. So I'm going to pinch that one.
You need to send a care package. I'll send a care package off.
Oh, that's fantastic. So Bob, who is saying, I laugh every time, still funny after all these years. Oh, do you still use your policy book?
I do. Again, I used to work for the federal government, and people used to always say we can't do something because it's our policy. So I came up with this policy manual. On the front, it says my policy manual. It's about the size of a passport. I grant you the power to serve me. And on the back, where my picture is, you can actually paste your picture over mine, and it just says me. So that when you show it to people, if your picture's on it, it's instant verification that you wrote this book. So they don't have anything in writing. And so I wrote, some of these are pre-written, some of them are blank, you know, some of them are blank like this so that you can fill them in as you need. But one of the first times I went to use it, go to check in a hotel, and they said, all we have left, this is, I believe it was in Australia, all we have left are smoking rooms. And I said to him, I don't have any cigarettes. I mean, sorry, I just don't have any cigarettes. And I thought I'd connect. And the guy says, sir, you don't have to smoke. And I said, no, RJ Reynolds 16.2 clearly states, you know, if you're in a smoking room, you have to smoke. Couldn't get him to laugh. And so I said, do you have any non-smoking suites? Yes, sir, we do. $150 more per night. I know I can't pass that cost on to my customers. So I said, can you upgrade me to a non-smoking suite at no additional cost? They said, no, our policy is we don't upgrade based on smoking preference. So I already had this in here. So I opened up my policy manual and I read, if I request and reserve a non-smoking room at any hotel and that property then gives my non-smoking room away to another guest prior to my arrival, then said hotel is required by law to upgrade me to a non-smoking suite at no additional cost, no exceptions. And I handed it to the person and they read it and they're telling the other clerk, it's right there. You know, he's not kidding. It's right there. And this lady looks at me and says, sir, you need to talk to the manager. I've had that one too many times. So I opened up my policy manual and read to them, policy manual 3000.1. Once I've verbalized my policy to any employee at any level, I'm then forbidden by policy to repeat said policy verbally in writing to anyone else. No exceptions. I ended up sleeping in the presidential suite that night. They photocopied this and had me initial it. You know, and if somebody tells me no, I can actually turn right to yes. It's right there. And I'll show you one more. This is the ultimate in policy. If somebody tells you something you disagree with, I pull out my charts and graphs. You just need charts and graphs. If you have charts and graphs, you can do anything. So I say, do you want me to be satisfied? Yes, I do. Well, if I don't get my way, I may be only 10% satisfied. If I get my way, I could be 100% satisfied, which in the quarterly chart over here is clearly best for me. And I've had people look at me and go, well, that makes sense, Mr. Gard. So I market, I sell. I mean, people buy these. Customers will often get them for everybody, and then I'll write policies specifically for those organizations that then they can continue on using for the rest of the year. So it's
I love it. 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 Do you know what? You've made my day. I've had a very tiring week and I feel energized, and you've just made me so happy. It's even better than chocolate. How cool is that? Tim is better than chocolate.
It's just fun. It's just, maybe I need some chocolate props. That'll be next. That'll get double duty going there. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So Tim, where is, for people that they're listening to you just now think, we need to book Tim. We need to bring Tim in to our next conference, our next virtual event. Where should people go to learn more about you and your different programs and the other things you've got going on just now?
So it's Tim. My email is Tim, T-I-M, at timgard.com, Timgard, one word. My website is just timgard.com, Timgard.com. And you can also call my 800 number from my major credit card if you like. But they can contact me like that. I'd love to be able to work for it. The virtual programs have worked out really well, better than I anticipated. It just takes more work, more planning, more personalization. But I see future events coming up. I got booked for my first in-person event on April 24th in Montana, where I'm from. So I'm excited about that. And I just have so much fun with this, and I know my audiences do.
Well, Tim, thank you so much for coming and just taking a bit of time today. And I love your setup as well. I feel like I'm in in a supper club, a late night jazz club in Portland there as well. So thank you for bringing me into your world this afternoon.
Well, and this is so great. We partnered with a production company so that it is like the old days where you're actually on stage for the virtual event. So thanks for pointing that out.
Happy Easter, Tim. Thank you.
Happy
Easter. Good to see you both.
Take care.
Bye, everybody. Laughter becomes you.
Thank you. I was lovely. And of course, actually, he's bookable via our sponsors as well.
He is definitely bookable via our sponsors. We'd like to take a moment to thank our wonderful sponsors today, who are London Speaker Bureau. London Speaker Bureau is a global resource for corporations and governments for keynote speakers, executive learning masterclass, boardroom advisors, and Tim as well. So representing some of the most influential business leaders and politicians in the world. If you need help in choosing a speaker for your next event, go to londonspeakerbureau.com.
Lovely, wonderful. So we overran a bit with Tim, but I couldn't stop.
Oh, that's great! It's fantastic. Did everyone like Tim? Just type in. Maybe we should get Tim back again. Just type in and let us leave a comment if you think we should bring Tim back in. We've
got some nice comments. I know you can't see, but we've got some thanks so much, Tim. Just awesome. A smiley face here. It's lovely. It's lovely. Wonderful, wonderful. Right. So we'll briefly talk about something a little bit serious, shall we? But and it relates, in fact, to selling. And I love the fact I've never heard of a speaker selling his business cards. I think it's just phenomenal.
Now we are switching things up a little bit because we're on episode, this is 26 now, I think.
I can't believe you count. I don't count.
I know. And frankly, every week we were doing this tool of the week thing. And frankly, we spent all the money, all the budget on our tools of the week. So we said, we can't do any more tools of the week. We bought everything. We can't have any more Amazon packages coming to the time. And apart from getting a sponsor, so we've decided instead of tool of the week, we're going to try something new. This is going to be tip of the week. So our tips this week relate to selling your speaking. So Maria, did you want to go first with your tip of the week?
Actually, no, I want to go second because my tip relates nicely to your tip. Okay. So I'd like you to give me the intro.
So as Tim was talking about visual props there, so my tip of the week when it comes to selling is a little visual prop, which is this. It is going to be the cheapest sales tool you'll probably ever use. And one of the things when I talk to speakers and I say, how's your selling your speaking going? And they say, I'm not really getting much business in. I said, how many sales calls have you done this week or today? And it goes kind of quiet then. So if you're like me, if you don't particularly love doing sales calls and outbound calls, then this is my little tool. And I suggest you get them. They're paper clips. And just get yourself, 20, 30 paper clips. And what I'd like you to do is every week, or set a number for yourself, is over the course of a day, I want you to make a connect with someone. It doesn't have to be a hardcore sales call. It could be just connecting me with a bureau partner or a client you've worked with in the past, or perhaps a new prospect. And every time you make that call, and it has to be a call, you take one of those paper clips and you move them from one little thing into the other. And by the end of the day, you'll know exactly how many sales calls you've made. And it's a very good visual reminder if you're maybe slacking a little bit on doing your outreach. So that's my my tip of the week: paper clips, sales paper clips.
Fantastic. And actually mine relates to that, and I'm sure that everybody knows this, but maybe you haven't done it for a while, and it's a really good activity to do, and it's something that I've always done whenever I've been selling. Work out what your conversion rate is. So if you've got a target that you want to achieve for the year, you want a certain amount of income, and you've got a fee, you know what your fee is going to be, and therefore you can divide that and work out how many bookings you need. But how many inquiries do you need? What is your conversion rate? How many inquiries do you convert? If you're trying to get 40 bookings for the year and you only convert half of your inquiries, you're going to have to get 80 inquiries. So that gives you a number to work towards. But take it one step further. How many calls, as you're suggesting, outreach calls or communications or conversations do you actually need to have to get one inquiry? So when I first joined the Speaker Bureau, which was 23 years ago today is my anniversary.
Congratulations. Happy anniversary.
Thank you. My very first Speaker Bureau on April Fool's Day. Yeah, I know. And actually that just really sums up my career, really, doesn't it? April Fool's Day in the speaking world. I didn't know what the conversion rate would be. So I actually asked when I joined, and I said, what should I be aiming for? How many, I said, how many no's do I need to do to get a yes? And so that I knew what that was. And actually, it hasn't changed that much over the years. Even though it's got more competitive, it hasn't changed, because I think what happens is you get better. You get better. So 23 years ago, there's a lot less competition, yeah, so that has changed. So that's what I would say is, if you want to get 40 gigs and you have a 50% conversion rate, that means you get 80 inquiries. And how many calls do you have to make? You probably have to make 10 calls or 10 communications, have 10 conversations for every one inquiry. So you can work that out. Then you'll know how many paper clips you need per day, per week. And you and I agree that the most important thing in this is consistency.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
The most successful people consistently work hard.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I was having a conversation the other day with something else about the most successful people in a completely different field. And I said, what's the thing that they all do? And he just said, it's consistency. It's like every day just kind of doing those kind of numbers as well. And it's not, I'm sure there's lots of really like cool, fancy kind of marketing hacks, all that kind of stuff. It's not the cool stuff, but it's the stuff that does the business. And definitely consistency. You're totally right on that, Maria.
Fantastic. Well, this weekend I will be consistently eating chocolate.
Good.
What will you be doing?
I don't know, actually. Maybe we do have some sun, so maybe I'm going to do a little bit of walking this weekend. I did 2 gigs today, or yesterday, sorry. So I think I need to chill out this weekend. Maybe I need to bite the ears off a chocolate bunny rabbit or something this weekend. So maybe that's what I'll do.
I know you've been working really hard. I know we're both tired, so it's nice to have some time off. So we just want to say thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful Easter break, whatever you're doing, wherever you happen to be, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.
Although I have to find my brand here, and let's get it right.